I want to start with a line that's so simple, so blunt, it almost dares you not to look any deeper. Donald Trump, speaking to Axios, says about Benjamin Netanyahu, we get along very good. He knows who the boss is. That's it. That's the headline. That's the branding. Now, hold that in your head for a second, because just a few weeks earlier, same relationship, same players, reporting from Reuters and Axios reports a phone call where Donald Trump calls Benjamin Netanyahu fucking crazy, accuses him of dragging Israel into endless escalation in Lebanon, and then tells him flat out, everybody hates you now. So let's line those two up side by side. On one hand, he knows who the boss is. On the other, you're fucking crazy and everyone hates you. And if that wasn't enough, there's a third layer sitting underneath both of those statements. Barack Obama, on record, saying Netanyahu pitched him the same exact case for striking Iran that he later pitched to Trump. Only Obama didn't buy it. Trump did, though. So here's the question I want you to sit with. When someone loudly insists that they're the boss, right after adopting someone else's long-running agenda and calling that same person fucking crazy, what are we actually looking at? Is this power or is this performance? Because tonight I'm going to walk you through a relationship that's being sold to you as dominance, but looks a lot more like two men using each other, reshaping reality in real time, and trying to convince you they were in charge all along. Let's dig in. To understand why that boss line lands the way it does, you have to zoom out and look at the current moment these two men are operating in. We're not talking about a stable geopolitical backdrop. We're talking about a volatile, multi-front situation involving Israel, Lebanon, and Iran, where escalation has been the defining feature, not the exception. The Lebanon front has been particularly messy, with strikes, counterstrikes, and a growing sense that the situation is spiraling rather than resolving. At the same time, Netanyahu is politically vulnerable at home. His leadership has been under sustained pressure, and his long-standing brand, the man who can manage Washington, who can stand up to Iran, who can keep Israel secure through strength, has taken hits. Not just from outcomes, but from optics. Because optics matter here a lot. Netanyahu's political identity has been built in part on the idea that he has a special relationship with the United States, especially with Donald Trump, that he can influence American policy, shape it, even bend it when necessary, that he's not just reacting to Washington, but actively managing it. Now, drop Trump into that equation. Trump, for his part, is trying to present himself as the central architect of everything. The war posture towards Iran, the handling of Israel, the broader regional strategy. He's not just another president in the sequence. He's the one who got things done, the one who acted when others hesitated. So when he says he knows who the boss is, that's not just a throwaway line. That's a claim about authorship, about control, about who's driving the story. But the problem is, the facts around that story don't line up cleanly with that claim. Because while Trump is asserting dominance, the reporting shows friction, serious friction, heated calls, public embarrassment, private insults that leak into the open. And beneath all of that is a longer arc that didn't start with Trump at all. It starts with Netanyahu's years-long campaign to convince the U.S. presidents that Iran represents an existential threat that requires decisive, potentially military action. This isn't new. This isn't reactive. This is a through line. And if you follow that thread, the boss narrative starts to look a lot less solid. Now, let's dig into that through line, because this is where the entire dynamic starts to unravel. According to Barack Obama, speaking candidly about his time in office, Netanyahu brought him a consistent, persistent argument about Iran. The case was clear. Iran is advancing, the threat is real, and the window to act is closing. The implication? If you don't strike, you're risking catastrophe. Obama didn't buy it. And that matters because Obama wasn't the only one hearing this argument. Netanyahu made similar appeals across multiple administrations. This wasn't a one off pitch, it was a sustained lobbying effort at the highest levels of power. Now, fast forward to Trump. Trump does buy it. He aligns with a more aggressive posture towards Iran. He embraces the logic that previous presidents resisted. And in doing so, he becomes the first U.S. president to actually move in the direction Netanyahu has been advocating for years. So let's just pause on that for a second. You have a foreign leader who spends years pushing a specific strategic vision. Multiple US presidents hear it, evaluate it, and decline to fully adopt it. Then one president comes along and says, yes. And now that same president is telling you he knows who the boss is. You don't have to be a cynic to see the tension here. Because if you're the boss, what does it mean that you're the one who finally took the pitch? This is where the language starts to do a lot of heavy lifting. Trump's communication style has always relied on blunt, dominance-oriented framing. Boss, crazy, I saved you, you'd be nothing without me. It's simple, it's visceral, and it creates a clear hierarchy, at least on the surface. But when you compare that language to the actual sequence of events, it starts to feel less like a description and more like a rewrite. Take the leaked call. Calling the man that you call BB fucking crazy isn't just colorful language. It's a window into real frustration. Accusing him of dragging Israel into endless escalation suggests a loss of control, not command. Saying everybody hates you now isn't the voice of a confident superior. It's the voice of someone reacting to fallout. And yet, weeks later, we get the polished version. He knows who the boss is. So which is it? Is Netanyahu the reckless actor pushing things too far? Or is he the obedient subordinate who takes direction? Because those two narratives don't just conflict, they cancel each other out. Now, flip the lens. Netanyahu, for his part, has spent years cultivating his own version of dominance. Not over Trump personally, but over the relationship itself. The idea that he can navigate Washington better than anyone. That he understands how to extract support, shape policy, and maintain Israel's strategic edge. That's been central to his political identity. But that identity takes a hit when the President of the United States is publicly calling you fucking crazy. It takes a hit when your supposed ally is airing grievances that make you look isolated rather than influential. So now you have two competing narratives. Trump's version, I'm the boss, I'm in charge, I'm the one making the calls. And Netanyahu's version, I'm the strategist, I'm the one who understands the game, I'm the one who can move Washington. And the reality? It looks a lot more mutual and a lot more messy. Because what you're actually seeing is a relationship where both men need each other. Trump benefits from aligning with Israel in a way that reinforces his image as a strong, decisive leader on a global stage. Netanyahu benefits from having a U.S. president willing to adopt a more aggressive stance towards Iran, something he's been pushing for years. But mutual dependency doesn't sell well politically. So instead, you get performance. You get Trump saying boss to assert dominance after the fact, after decisions have been made, after alignments have been formed, after the trajectory is already in motion. You get Netanyahu projecting control over Washington, even as that relationship produces outcomes that are increasingly difficult to manage or defend. In the middle of that, you get policies, real world consequences being shaped by a dynamic that neither side fully controls. That's the part that tends to get buried underneath the rhetoric. Because boss is a clean word. It simplifies things. It turns a complex, interdependent relationship into a hierarchy. But the evidence doesn't support that simplicity. What it supports is something far more uncomfortable: a feedback loop, a foreign leader pushing a long standing agenda, a US president embracing that agenda, both of them reinforcing each other's positions, and both of them at different moments trying to claim they were the one steering the ship, even when that ship is clearly not under steady control. And maybe the most telling detail in all of this is the timing. Trump doesn't say, "I'm the boss" at the beginning of the process. He says it after the alignment is already visible, after the criticism has already leaked, after the contradictions are already out there. That's not leadership, that's branding. It's retroactive authorship. It's taking a shared and deeply contested trajectory and stamping your name on it. So, where does that leave us? If you strip away the language, the posturing, the carefully chosen sound bites, what you're left with is not a story about a boss and a subordinate. It's a story about convergence. A politician who spent years pushing for a specific outcome finally finds a US president willing to go along with it. And that president, having gone along with it, now wants to present himself as the originator, the one in control, the one calling the shots. At the same time, that president is privately or semi-privately expressing frustration, anger, even disbelief at how things are unfolding, calling his supposed partner fucking crazy, complaining about escalation, acknowledging, at least in those moments, that the situation isn't as controlled as the public messaging suggests. On the other side, you have a leader whose entire brand is tied to strength, foresight, and control, now navigating a reality where his most powerful ally is publicly undermining that image. So when you hear he knows who the boss is, it's actually worth asking, who is that line for? Is it for Netanyahu or is it for the audience? Because if you look at the sequence of events, the years of lobbying, the eventual alignment, the subsequent friction, it doesn't read like a hierarchy. It reads like two actors locked into the same trajectory, each trying to claim ownership of it, each trying to avoid being seen as the one who followed rather than led. And that's where the real story is. Not in who's the boss, but in why both of them feel the need to say they are. Because when the control is obvious, you don't have to declare it. And when you do declare it, loudly, repeatedly, in the middle of contradictions, it usually means something else is going on underneath. Something less stable, less certain, and certainly less controlled. So the next time you hear a line like that, clean, confident, absolute, don't just take it at face value. Ask what it is trying to cover. Ask what it's trying to rewrite. And most importantly, ask whether the reality it's describing actually exists or whether it's just the version of the story someone wants you to believe. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Kyle Fields. Until next time, take care.